Chapter 6 Dangerous Alternatives The Descent into Survival Sex. Real-life interview. Anonymous. Age 35. Widow and former sex worker. Lagos, Nigeria. After my husband died, I had nothing. His family collected his bank card. They said I had no right. The landlord kicked us out. I had no skill. I had 2 daughters. I was 27, beautiful, and desperate. One night, I went to a bar and left with a man. He gave me 10,000 naira. That fed us for a week. That night turned into 5 years. I hated every moment. I lost my self-worth. I feared HIV. I hated my body. But it was either that or watching my girls starve. 6.1 The Harsh Truth About Desperation. Desperation has a voice. It whispers, "You have no choice." In the quiet corners of towns and villages across Africa, beyond the loud conversations of politicians and pulpit sermons, there exists an invisible economy, painful one. It's not recorded in any national statistics. It doesn't appear in academic journals. But it thrives in shadows, the trade of dignity for daily bread. When the bottom falls out, when a woman has no source of income, has no skills to offer, has no family support, and faces children crying of hunger, then logic bends, morals distortion, and survival becomes a negotiation. This is not about bad choices, it's about no choice. When a mother is told by a landlord, "Sleep with me or your children sleep outside." When a food seller says, "You know what I want before I give you this rice." Or when a school principal hints, "I can help your son if you help me." Her dignity becomes currency in a market she never wanted to enter. This is not prostitution by trade, this is prostitution by pressure. It is desperation, dressed in pain and sealed with silence. Real voices, real pain. Anonymous, 34, Widow, Ngwu State. When my husband died in a motor accident, I was 29. No savings, no job, no help. I begged neighbors for food until they stopped answering. One night, my landlord came to collect rent. I offered to pay next month, and he said, "There are other ways you can pay." I cried while he climbed on top of me. Then I cooked for my children. Her voice breaks. I still feel dirty, but what hurts most is that I thought I was doing the right thing for my kids. It's not just about sex, it's about power. At the core of survival, sex is not lust, it's power imbalance. The man has what the woman needs. She has no leverage, no shield, no help. And society, instead of holding the man accountable, often blames the woman. They call her loose, wayward, a disgrace to womanhood. But where were they when her children hadn't eaten for 2 days? Where were they when she asked for work and was turned away because she had no certificate? Where were they when her husband's family seized their only farmland and left her with nothing? The long-term damage. Survival sex doesn't just hurt the body, it crushes the soul. Emotionally, the woman feels used, devalued, and ashamed. Socially, she becomes stigmatized, even if she never told anyone. Spiritually, she feels distant from her faith, her self-worth, and her peace. Medically, she's exposed to infections, trauma, and mental health breakdowns. And worst of all, she begins to believe that her body is the only thing she has left to offer the world. This must not be normalized. No woman should ever have to trade her body to buy dignity. No child should grow up watching their mother break silently to feed them. No society should look away while desperation births exploitation. We must start asking, why are women this vulnerable in the first place? What can be done before desperation hits? How do we make sure no woman walks that path again? This is not a chapter of shame, it is a call to action. I write this not to shame those who have suffered, but to shine a light on what happens when a woman is not prepared, not supported, and not seen. It is a reminder that preparation is protection. and that every woman deserves options, not ultimatums. The faces of survival sex. Every desperate choice has a face, a name, and a pain you'll never fully understand. See Ngwu. When we talk about survival sex, we must stop seeing it as scandal and start seeing it as a systemic wound, a recurring outcome of a culture that raises women to depend, not to defend themselves. These women are not immoral. They are invisible victims of cultural negligence. Let us give their faces a voice. 1. Chinwe, the widowed sister. At 33, Chinwe lost her husband to liver disease. She had 2 young children and 0 savings. When she asked her in-laws for help, they said, "Stay in the family house, but you must remain loyal to us." She soon discovered that meant submitting herself to her late husband's older brother sexually. He said if I didn't give him my body, I should leave the house. Where would I go? With my 2 children. She sleeps in shame, he sleeps in comfort. 2. Ngozi, the politician's mistress. Ngozi once dreamt of becoming a nurse, but after her boyfriend abandoned her with a baby in her final year, she dropped out. She tried to work, but without a degree or skill, every door slammed shut. Now, she is 28 and dating a much older politician. He pays my son's school fees and covers my rent. I know he'll never marry me, but I'm not with him for love. I'm with him for survival. People call her a gold digger. No one calls out the broken system that created her desperation. 3. Ruth, the lost student. Ruth, 21, came to the city to attend university. But when her parents couldn't afford her fees anymore, she dropped out. Alone, unqualified, and desperate, she began living with a married businessman who gives her an allowance. He says I'm better than his wife. I know it's a lie. But I need to eat, and I'm scared to go back home a failure. She was once a top student. Now she is trapped in a role that erases her dreams. These are not exceptions. They are everywhere. These aren't isolated stories from dark corners. They're everywhere across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and beyond. From rural villages to capital cities. They're hidden under wigs, makeup, fake smiles, and Instagram filters. They are sitting next to you at church, in your market, on your WhatsApp contact list. Why does this keep happening? Because our culture raises girls to wait for provision instead of building it, shames ambitious women instead of encouraging them, praises dependency and labels self-reliance as rebellion, protects the powerful and punishes the powerless. Until these roots are dug out, women will keep falling into the same cycles, generation after generation. We must change the faces of survival. Instead of women saying, "I slept with him so I could feed my children," let them say, "I sold 50 loaves of bread today and paid for my rent." Instead of, "He paid my school fees because I became his lover," let them say, "I built a tailoring business that is now sponsoring my education." Instead of, "I stayed in an abusive home because I had nowhere else to go," let them say, "I bought land and built a life alone if I must." Final thought. Survival sex is not about sex. It's about a woman who ran out of options and never had a plan. But that ends with you. You, the young woman reading this. You, the mother raising a daughter. You, the man raising a wife, not a dependent. Let's start raising women who survive by strategy, not by surrender. 6.2. The cost is greater than the cash. Survival sex gives temporary relief, but permanent wounds. Ngwu. Many who judge survival sex focus only on the act, not the aftermath. They assume these women are reckless or lazy. But they fail to see that the true price of survival sex is far more than any amount of cash, rent, or school fees. The payment isn't just in naira, it's in dignity, health, legacy, and freedom. 1. Dignity, the soul's first casualty. A woman who trades her body for money may eat today, but she often sleeps in tears. I no longer know who I am, said Uju, a 34-year-old widow. I smile, I dress well, but every time I'm alone, I feel worthless. Every encounter chips away at her self-worth. Over time, she begins to see herself not as a builder, but a bargainer body with a price tag. She forgets that she was once a dreamer. She remembers only that she is now a survivor of her own broken story. 2. Health, the invisible inheritance. Unprotected sex, repeated partners, and emotional stress wreak havoc on the body. Many women engaged in survival sex contract STIs or HIV, undergo unsafe abortions, suffer chronic infections or reproductive complications, live with untreated mental health issues like depression, anxiety, or PTSD. And because they fear judgment, they rarely seek help until it's too late. 3. Safety, from shelter to suffering. Some women stay with abusive, manipulative, or even violent men simply because they provide. A slap is excused if it comes with school fees. Cheating is tolerated as long as rent is paid. Rape is silenced when the abuser is the benefactor. This false sense of safety becomes a prison. They're no longer in a relationship, they're in a transactional captivity. 4. Legacy. The next generation is watching. Children raised in such situations often grow up confused about love and worth, inherit a distrust of marriage or partnership, repeat the same cycles of silence and submission, become targets of exploitation or even trafficked through family connections. A mother's pain, when not healed or confronted, often becomes her daughter's pattern. I became my mother without knowing it, said Sandra, 32. She had 5 uncles before she died. I now have 2. 5. Freedom, lost in quiet chains. Perhaps the cruelest price is this. She loses her power to choose. When you are fed by fear, you cannot dream. When you survive by seduction, you cannot speak boldly. When you earn through silence, you cannot live freely. Her entire existence becomes performance-based. Smile when she wants to cry. Obey when she wants to run. Give when she wants to grow. The woman who enters survival sex to save herself may eventually forget herself entirely. It starts as survival, but it ends in trauma. We must no longer ask, why did she do that? We must ask, why was she never taught another way? We must no longer call her dirty. We must call the system that failed her dangerous. We must no longer pity her in whispers. We must empower her in action. If you're reading this and relating there is a way out, you are not condemned. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not defined by your past. There is a new chapter, but you must choose to write it. Learn a skill. Seek a mentor. Start a small business. Join a women's empowerment group. Say, no more. I will not survive through shame. Because you were not created to be used, you were created to build, lead, and rise. Quote to reflect on. Sex should never be your last currency, should be your sacred choice. Dr. Kimi O, women's health advocate. A desperate woman is a vulnerable woman, and vulnerable women become society's easiest targets. See Ngwu. When you don't equip a woman, you sentence her to sell what she shouldn't have to. Nosy Okafor, Widow Support NGO. 6.3. A way out, healing, skills, and self-worth. The night may be long, but it is not endless. Even ashes can breathe again. Ngwu. For every woman who has lived in survival mode, for every widow who has been shamed instead of supported, for every mother who did what she had to do because she had no other choice, let this be your reminder. You are not too far gone. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not what happened to you. You are a builder waiting to rise again. Every woman deserves a second chance. Yes, even if you've been judged. Yes, even if you've made mistakes. Yes, even if you've done things out of desperation. You do not need permission to start again. What you need is a map out of the dark, and that begins with three powerful tools: healing, skills, and self-worth. Steps to rise. 1. Seek help, not judgment. Don't suffer alone. There are people waiting to hold your hand, not point fingers. Across Africa, there are growing numbers of NGOs and charities focused on widows and single mothers, church programs offering empowerment, small business support, or counseling, support groups, both physical and online, where women share stories, teach one another, and provide emotional strength. Asking for help is not weakness, it is the first sign of wisdom. Even a phone call, a visit, or a message saying, "I need someone to talk to," can begin your healing. 2. Learn a skill, any skill. What your hands learn to do, your heart learns to hope again. In today's world, women are turning everything from baking, tailoring, and makeup to digital marketing, tech support, and agriculture into stable sources of income. Thanks to free and subsidized programs, you can now learn hairdressing, catering, farming and food processing, shoemaking, tailoring, graphics design, online tutoring, soap and cream making, data entry, or remote virtual assistant jobs. You don't need a university degree to earn. You need determination, a skill, and the courage to start small. 3. Start where you are. Start with 10 loaves. Start with one dress. Start with a phone. Start with a borrowed table. Don't wait until the perfect day or plenty money comes. Start with what you have. If you can make chin-chin, make it and sell it. If you can braid hair, offer it at a discount until your client list grows. If you have data and a phone, explore online Job7 basic ones. Every honest naira earned is a brick in your foundation. You may not make much at the beginning, but every step out of desperation is a step toward dignity. 4. Reconnect with your faith and self-belief. What you went through is part of your story, but it is not your identity. It's easy to forget your value when life breaks you, but you must remember, you are more than a survivor. You are more than someone's wife, mother, or victim. You are a woman with divine value, potential, and power. Reconnect with your faith, rebuild your confidence. Whether it's through prayer, journaling, reading, empowering books, or speaking affirmations over yourself, feed your soul as you build your hands. Because healing is not just financial, it is emotional, it is spiritual, it is personal. Final thoughts. Hope is a skill, too. Learning a skill will give you income. Learning to hope will give you direction. There are women just like you who once wept quietly on borrowed mattresses, who now run shops, own schools, speak in conferences, and raise bold daughters. They didn't wait for perfection. They started from brokenness. They fought for healing. They trained their hands. They found their worth. And so can you. 6.4 Personal Reflection Exercise. The line I won't cross. Step 1. Reflect honestly. 1. Have I ever considered or engaged in survival sex? 2. What pushed me to that place? 3. What did it cost me emotionally, spiritually, physically? 4. What can I do differently today to reclaim my dignity and rebuild my life? Step 2. Declare and write this down. From this day forward, I choose survival through strength, not surrender. I will learn. I will grow. I will never trade my body for bread. I am worthy of more and I will rise. Closing words for Chapter 6. Survival sex may look like a way out, but it is a trap. A woman who chooses to work, learn, and rise with honor may struggle for a while, but she sleeps with peace and wakes with power. You are not for sale. You are for greatness. Believe that. Work for that. Rise toward that.